Multi-exclusive dimensional being Kai with another exclusive. Today's video is going to be about how to stop overthinking. Now, what is over? Over means going overboard, going over a perimeter, or going over something. Now, when you add thinking to the equation, thinking is internally. You can't see your thoughts. You cannot see your ideas. So that should be number one. That should be strike number one. Because at the end of the day, you are a space, a spirit, sharing spaces with all kind of spirits, all kind of vessels. And of course, you need to take into consideration that ideas are constantly running and moving. That goes to show, put it to test. If you are someone that overthinks, try to clear your mind. Try to close your eyes. Try not to think. And of course, remember, if you know you're powerful, you know you're in control of something, you should know that you should be able to actually take power and control over it, no matter what the circumstances, situation play out. Now, you know you own a car. You know you can turn that car off because you can control that car. And of course, now when we're talking about the mind, that's a different circumstance in term of analogy. You can't turn your mind off, because if you turn your mind off, that means you have to replenish and leave this body consciously, on a conscious perspective. And that goes to show that your thoughts, your ideas are not yours. Because if you cannot sit still for 1 second, matter of fact, for 5 minutes, and try to control your mind, try not to think at all, it's going to be very hard to do that shit. Why? Because air, oxygen, is constantly, you're breathing this. And these are spirits that you're breathing, which is spaces, locations. And of course, depend on where you're at, depend on what space or what vibration you're in, these are what you're pretty much inheriting. These are what you are intaking. And it's very difficult to control something if you're not putting in the effort to do that on a day-to-day basis. Now, when we're talking about overthinking, feel me? You have to take this into consideration, that this plays out on all obstacles, on all levels, and all devils. Because, of course, you can be your own devil within your mind, within your desires. And you can be situating yourself with a devil in disguise. So this goes on high magnitudes, that being in a circumstance situation, these cause conflicts. This cause aggression. This cause depression. When you're deeply pressed, deep down the sea, pressed against repressions, weight added. And water, when you're so deep underneath water, it gets heavier. Feel me? This way, when you put water in the pot, knowing that pot is light already, that's like your mind right there. That's like your space. Feel me? The pot is empty. So when the pot is empty, it needs fulfillment. So your mind is the pot. So you know the amount of water that you need to put in that pot. So the more water you put in that pot, the more it gets heavier and start to basically tip over. Now take that into consideration, that you have to have balance. Being unstable can put you in crazy scenarios, crazy circumstances and situations to have you all over the place and shit. And you don't want that to happen to you. Because when you have that to happen, you can kill yourself quicker than you think you can. These are why people have sleep paralysis. These are why people pretty much be sleepwalking. This is why people be talking to themselves in their damn sleep. Because they not at peace. They not smiling. They too fucking fixed. They too dry, like my hands. No offense, hard work pays off. But they too dry. Like they just dry. Too dry, too depressed, cold, fixed. Almost to the point where if you don't calm your fucking nerve, you're going to have mental arthritis. And that's what you don't want to fucking have. Because if you have mental arthritis, you can go to bed on this fucking bed right now and your ass will not fucking wake up. The only thing that's going to wake up is you. You're going to have an outer experience, where you're going to be aware of certain things. Your brain is active, but all the vessels, all the souls in your body is up looking around. And you're going to start acting paranoid. And that's the state of awareness and state of being that you do not want to motherfucking be in. Because if you in that awareness, you acting paranoid and shit, you losing control. You vibrating on a lowest frequency. And of course, when you're vibrating in that frequency, you're pretty much disarming yourself, depleting yourself, to have other spirits to come in your space and replenish your energy, take you out your vessel. You're pretty much putting your kids at risk. That's like being pregnant. And you're pregnant right now, but you have depression going on. You have anxiety going on. You losing your mind. Now, your kids is being affected by this shit. And your kids is also being affected by this shit because that's your mind, your feelings and emotions. That's being affected. And that's the quickest way to exit the body. The quickest way to kill yourself. The quickest way to be hallucinated. And you don't want to be hallucinated. Because when you hallucinate it, this can put your ass in a circumstance situation where you're starting to see things that you're not normally seeing. What other people that don't see or don't catch on to. So that's pretty much what you're going to put yourself into. You don't want to put yourself in that space. You don't want to be vibrating in that space. Because if you're vibrating in that space, these are the vibrations that you create. All the cells, all the battery percentages are going towards that energetic state, that energetic field, that football stadium. And now, the more energy and time you're putting into that shit, that's where the touchdown happens. That's where the fumbles happen. You lose fumble over your life. Feel me? You got the football in your hand. Feel me? You're fumbling now. Because you can't pay attention right now. You can't put yourself in a circumstance situation where you can find equilibrium or balance. Feel me? Your temple is all fucked up right now. It's too much mud in there. Too much sand in there. You gotta clear it out. And that's why we're gonna get into this shit. Now, overthinking means that you have a lot of clutterness in your mind. You have a lot of gas, bad gas. You have a lot of fart gas in your mind. So that means you've been farting too much, fucking the shit out of your farts, and your farts is starting to become stink. It's stinking it up, stinking up your mind. Feel me? Your mind is depressed right now. Your mind is disabled right now. Your mind, you can't concentrate right now. Your mind all over the motherfucking place. Your mind is like the wander wheel. It can't stay in one section. It's just fucking flowing, going all around, fucking doing a spiral. Of course, this spiral cannot be controlled. This spiral cannot be stopped. AKA, your mind can never be stopped. But of course, there's a percentage level where you can control your mind, where you can have an equilibrium. That's where we're talking about having a clear mind. And that's why it's so important to have a clear mind. When, one, you wake up, the first thing you do, meditate. And why you should be meditating? Because the first thing you do when you basically come out of sleep, you're aware. You're consciously aware. Too consciously aware. First thing you do, pick up your phone. That's where you fuck up. Because now, when you're paying attention to, which is your mind, your frame, your light, where you're bending your light at, is on external shit. And of course, spirits love to be seen in the flesh. Spirits love to gravitate towards the light. So of course, if this is what you're feeding your kids,